Phoenix Down Radio is on the air.
Welcome, everybody, to Phoenix Down Radio, episode number 164. And look, no mistakes at the beginning of the show. Other than we're a day late.
I mean, that disrupted the flow and was a mistake.
No, I meant to do that.
It was a mistaken decision.
Yeah, having you on the show, maybe.
I don't know what you were thinking, man. It was all downhill after that.
Anyway, I'm your host, Klauss and Seyrr, and joining me is this person who's still with us for some reason since the beginning. Seyrr Timono, what's going on, buddy?
It is unclear what either of us is getting out of this.
Basically.
I am doing all right.
Glad to hear it.
Deployed things for like 7 different library programs over the last week, which is why I've been kind of out of commission on things. That combined with watching the entirety of Kaguya-sama. So good.
Oh my.
Third season, it just started. I'm waiting a week or two because the dub is amazing and I want them to actually dub it. I'm pretty sure the narrator does a line of cocaine before each session and it is all the better for it.
Oh my.
So anyways, yes, that's what's happening in my life.
Okay. How do I go... How do I continue on from that? Good night, folks. Just kidding.
Yes, speedrun record.
Yeah.
Podcast any percent.
For those of you listening to the
doing,
podcast,
Klauss?
Sarah's broken me this time. That's a rare feat. So, bravo, Seyrr. Bravo.
Thank you. So how are you doing?
I'm still a little bit out of it. It's just been kind of one of those periods of time, let's call it. Not specifically like a week or 2 weeks or whatever. It's just been kind of weird. You know, things are happening.
I've been doing
in
the
real
thing
life.
where it's passing weirdly again, yeah.
Yep. Things are happening, stuff is doing stuff, and I mean, on a positive note, I went to go see a concert last night. One that I had been waiting for 2 years to see.
Ooh, the Distant Worlds one, right?
No, that was
That was a different one.
Distant Worlds was back in 2019, I think. A New World was 3 weeks ago during Detour.
Got it.
This was tickets that I had won through Verizon to see the Revivalists, and it was okay. You know, it was. We went out and had
Sounds pretty lively.
Had a VIP experience, which was kind of neat. So I got to skip the line, which is
Nice.
That's the best part about going VIP is not having to stand in line. Paid for some overpriced drinks, but you know they were delicious because it was Jameson and Coke, because Jameson is delicious. And you know the music was fine. It's not what I normally would listen to. It was kind of a if you've ever heard the Revivalists, I would say they're kind of like a funk / soul / folk kind of mix. It's very different, but you know, sometimes it's nice to kind of expand your musical, you know, horizons a little bit and just take something else in. Plus, just the fact that it was live music again is nice.
Yeah.
I think the best part about it was staying in the hotel for the last 2 days.
When someone else is taking care of the cleaning, so nice.
Yeah, and then you can just like do whatever and just not have to be worried about being home.
Also, thing that was happening for me and maybe happening for you and a bunch of other people, we are about the time of year where seasonal allergies start cropping up. So if you've been just feeling kind of blah and you don't know why, maybe you should be like taking Claritin.
It could be, but I mean, I think for me, it's just more the fact that there's just so much going on. It just, you start to deal with it a little differently.
Oh, yeah, totally. No, I was just having a bunch of stuff with like disturbed sleep and general lethargy and whatnot. And then I was like, oh, hey, my soft palate is itching. That only happens when I'm having allergy shit going on.
Very true. So take
It's
care
that
of yourself.
time.
Stay inside. You know, don't go outside. The outside is evil.
Exactly. Breathe only air that has been triple filtered, like coffee.
Or vodka.
Or vodka coffee. Is that a thing?
You would generally put whiskey in coffee.
Like if you just made coffee, but you used vodka instead of water for it. I wonder if that's a thing.
I don't think so, because I think the alcohol would evaporate. And you'd be left with really nasty tasting water. And
this thing suggests that you can make cold brew concentrate and then use coffee to reconstitute, or hot vodka to reconstitute it.
Or you could just maybe put the coffee grounds in vodka.
Plus, then you're mixing a stimulant and a depressant, which we all know is a great idea.
100%.
So anyways, we've got a show.
Isn't that what most mixed drinks are?
We've got a show that we should probably get somewhere on at some point.
Yes, let's go ahead and throw that thank you out to our Patreon producers, Nick Nar, Aurori, and Tibiant.
We love you.
Thank you so much for your support. And a little quick show update. As a thank you to our amazing Patreon supporters, we have, aside from Nick Nar, Aurori, and Tibiant, we decided as of last episode that we're going to give anybody who supports us out at patreon.com/PhoenixDownRadio immediate access to our podcast in both audio and video formats. For everybody else, the show's going to go out on Monday mornings on whatever your preferred podcatcher is, as well as YouTube. So we'll still have, even though tonight's episode is starting a day late, I'm still going to have the podcast out available for Monday morning, so don't worry about that. But even for the Saturday episodes, like I said, we're Patreon supporters will have it available right away, and then Monday morning you'll be able to access it for everybody else. It's something that we haven't been really addressing as much as, those who support us in that manner, so I wanted to try and do something.
We love you. We appreciate you.
Definitely.
I'm not entirely sure why you want to give me money, but I'm not questioning it.
They must like what we do for some reason. I don't understand it either, but...
Oh, the funding of mental health support is indeed in a dire state.
Very true. That's kind of...
That was a subtle self-dig.
Oh. Okay.
Saying that they clearly need... You know what? It wasn't great. The cleaning lady comes in on Monday and dusts. Let's keep going.
Same day our podcast goes live.
There we go. Nicely done.
All right. So we've talked a little. Oh, one thing I did not mention. I actually have been playing the game a little bit. I had to give our current main scenario roulette a proper farewell.
The game being Final Fantasy XIV.
In 14, yes. So I've been running main scenario roulette and getting, mostly Praetorium, thank God. Because you got to get those tomes so you can get all the random shit from the Moogles. By the way, if you have not gotten everything you need yet, listen to the podcast later. Go play the game right now, because you have what did we say? 9.5 hours?
And, I think a little less than that at this point.
9 hours.
I mean, you could listen to the podcast while you do it.
You could. That's true. I mean, I
make pleasant background noise. I make pleasant background noise.
You mean? Sorry, that's what I was
Exactly. Relaxing summer evening. The feeling of youth. I'm just going to keep saying more nonsense, so you should probably keep it moving.
So let's go ahead and keep it moving. But I got my Arcanist up to 88 today. So that's going to be... I decided to cheat a little bit. That way I can take care of the healer quests and the magic DPS quests. Because I think, those are still split up.
If that's cheating, then a lot of people have cheated.
You know what I mean. I think normally I would actually have taken White Mage up as my healer class. But
yeah, given that they're going to be adding the capstone combined role quest in the next update, good time to get it done.
Yep, that I still have to do tank and melee then. So, because there's 5, correct?
5 in total. Tank, healer, melee DPS, ranged physical DPS, magic DPS.
Okay, so this will be
I am 2 red mage levels away from being done.
Cool. I still have to do tank and melee at that point then, but we'll get her done. Yeah. So that's been kind of fun, and it was just a nice opportunity to say goodbye to Cinematorium.
Oh, it's not dying. It's just resting for a bit, and then it'll come back newer and better than ever, with a nicer flow.
And not needing 8 people and taking an hour.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and jump ahead and move into some gaming community news. 2 years ago today, a little game called Final Fantasy VII Remake was released. It's hard to believe it's been 2 years already.
Oh. And we're still only on the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, the first one did take an incredibly long time, so you may just need to be in for the long haul here.
Well, hoping we hear something about it, part 2 soon. And 16. And all the other ones, so.
There's a lot we are eagerly looking forward to.
Always, but it's just kind of weird that it's been... It just kind of reminds us that this whole shit show has been going on for 2 years now.
Yep.
But it is what it is. Still a good game. I still need to finish Intergrade. I think I only finished the first chapter.
I need to finally snag a PS5.
So you can
Wait,
play
do you
it.
need... Yeah.
Do need... Yes, it is PS5 only. So.
And it's still the type of thing where you need to camp websites or get lucky in lottery systems or pay a scalper way too much money for it.
It's getting better, though. There are stores that do have physical stock.
It's better than it used to be.
So, but yes, it's not like you can just walk into a random Walmart and pick one up anymore. But
no,
maybe once the whole supply chain bullshit gets fixed, we'll be good. But this is not a economies podcast. This is a Final Fantasy podcast. So let's talk more about Final Fantasy, or at least some Final Fantasy adjacent news. Kingdom Hearts 4 has been announced.
What?
Kingdom Hearts 4 has been announced.
Why? Who wanted this?
Kingdom Hearts fans. During a 20th anniversary live stream, a new trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4 confirms the return of Sora, Donald, and Goofy for a brand new adventure, and what Square Enix calls an epic new storyline named The Lost Master Arc. That's a very Tetsuya Nomura kind of name. At least it has all real words and not like 352 over whatever.
I mean, some of it's like, okay, there's some interesting symbolism being worked into the title, but at the same time, if I have to watch a summary explainer type thing that runs for an hour just to get the plot, I'm good.
Yeah, this is, as much as I love Kingdom Hearts, I mean, I own Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. I bought them when they first came out.
But did you get all the various DS games?
Nope.
And all the various side whatnots?
Nope. Once they really started going off the deep end, and that's kind of what lost me. And that's why I did not end up getting Kingdom Hearts 3. Because everything just was like... They took this cute storyline that meshed Disney characters with Final Fantasy characters. They turned it on its head. They spun it around in a blender. They dumped that into a microwave safe container, stuck it in the microwave at high for 27 hours, pulled that out, and gave us a game.
I am weirdly hungry now.
What I'm getting at here is it's really messed up now, and it doesn't quite appeal to me anymore. But to those who are interested in it, great. I mean, I hope it's an amazing game, and they did release a trailer for it, like I said, so I posted a link to that in the chat. It will also be in the show notes for those of you listening out on the podcast. And yes, I want Chinese too, Ravenheart.
Ooh, I could do dumplings.
I could make some fried rice. I make a pretty good fried rice now.
I am actually kind of craving Xiaolongbao now. Hang on, I wonder if anywhere to...
Are you going to Grubhub some soup dumplings?
Maybe. Actually, no, I can't imagine they hold up on delivery. Those want to be eaten like when they're freshly cooked.
Well, you could always get some bao buns. Ha! Got him. Anyway, what's kind of interesting about this, though, is this is the latest game that was initially listed as in that NVIDIA data leak like a year ago. So basically now are we going to hear something about the Final Fantasy IX remake soon?
Or there was like some murmurings about like Tactics Ogre whatnots.
Oh yeah, I didn't put that in the news, but apparently they
there was like a registration for a trademark, I think was the news on that front.
They trademarked Tactics Ogre remake or something like that. What did Nick Nar call it? He put it in our Discord, which you should go to sometime if you're interested in checking out all the news we have there.
A couple of my Discords were actually talking about this one. I was a little surprised that all of a sudden people are all about Tactics Ogre, but you know what? Cool, good series.
Tactics Ogre Reborn is what was filed for a trademark in Japan.
Oh, it's like a Realm Reborn, only tacticsy and ogre-y. So it has layers, like an onion parfait.
Like a blooming onion.
A blooming onion parfait.
Now I want Outback.
Same, actually. I got myself with that one.
Throw some shrimp on the bobby. Anyway.
Shrimps.
But yeah, that we'll have to see if, how much credence is actually on that list of games that was leaked. So, I mean, this is gonna a lot of...
I will admit that I was really skeptical of a lot of the claims, a lot of the, okay, where's this information even coming from? A lot of this sounds more like a wish list, but we've been seeing more and more of it, so...
There's definitely... It might actually be stuff that is...
it might have been, like, completely legit from the beginning. I may have been overly skeptical.
Seyrr? Skeptical?
There is dude, there are entire classes about teaching people to be more skeptical of their data sources. This is a thing.
No, definitely don't believe everything that you read, especially nowadays because fake news everywhere.
I may land a little bit hard on the other side of it.
Yeah. Anyway, let's jump into some Final Fantasy XIV news. We're gonna go over this real quickly.
Not too much detail because, quite frankly, we're going to see some of it in person in the next 48 hours.
Exactly. But I forgot to copy paste the link to their website here. So I want to thank Nova Crystallis for their coverage of Live Letter 70. So I'll pop that in the chat there. That's
a couple of especially interesting gems in there.
Yep. Things that I noticed that I want to talk about is the new Myths of the Realm 24-man. The first zone is called Aglaya, something like that.
Yep. So that is actually the name of, well, there's a couple different names, but the big one would be the three graces in Greek mythology. I had a thing I was looking at. The three graces. So she was the goddess of beauty, splendor, glory, magnificent, and adornment. Three daughters of Zeus. There's also like the Euphrosyne, the goddess of joy or mirth, and Thalia, the goddess of festivity and rich banquets. So I wonder if they're going to be... It's kind of interesting. You've got the whole like Greek underworld theme for the One Raid series, and then it sounds like we might be going into the whole thing with like the graces for the other, really leaning heavily on a lot of the Greek mythology this time around.
Well, I suppose, I mean, it is, one of the more popular or talked about
oh yeah, like there's a lot to draw from for it. So
theologies that with multiple gods. That's what I was trying to get at, but my brain was kind of farting right there.
Polytheistic whatnots.
There you go. So the first duty in the new Raid Alliance series, Myths of the Realm, Aglaya is the first area, and the theme will evolve around Eorzea's pantheon of gods, the 12. Yoshida shares a small bit of what the area looks like, as well as the gear you can expect to obtain from it.
Yeah. We saw some glimpses of it in that trailer. Lots of analysis going on. We already knew a little bit about, in the 12, the idea that there are 6 heavens, one aspected to each of the elements, each one occupied by 2 of the gods. It appears that we'll be visiting the heavens of fire and lightning this time around, which would give us Biragot, Ralgr, Azema, and Nalthal. The trailer, of course, showing what looks like a reasonably epic dual boss in Naldthal as our potential finisher for that part of the raid.
With his finishing move, Thal's Balls.
I think we're all going to be disappointed if there isn't at least some oblique reference to Thal's Balls in there. At least some type of like orb-shaped mechanic that gets referred to as Thal's Balls by the player. They may not be super direct about it, but I would be surprised if they didn't leave something in there. I will be very disappointed.
Tank Buster called Teabag.
Oh, so crass about it. We must teach you subtlety.
Oh, come on. I could see Koji pulling some shit like that. You know I'm not wrong. You know I'm not wrong.
Let's just keep going.
All right. Another thing that I saw in there that was kind of interesting was the whole dream fitting, where it's a feature that will allow you to try on items that you can purchase from the cash shop.
Yeah.
Things that like normally don't go on the market board, you know, where you could normally go in and check it, or have somebody have to type it into chat, you know, and link it so you could then try it on that way. So this is gonna be kind of neat to determine whether or not you think a glamour item will actually look good on your character before you blow real world money on it.
Yeah, it really speaks to a lot of the interests and priorities of the community that we like. The whole thing about glamour is the true end game. It's not entirely a joke, and even like the bleeding edge world first raiders subscribe to it. So having hey, anything that you're interested in, we're going to give you a chance to check it, to put that outfit together, to make sure it works for you. Like, the recognition that that's something that's important to us, it really speaks just to where our priorities lie. I will admit there are a couple pieces that I've thought of a little bit, but been hesitant about because I wasn't sure if they would actually look good, and was reluctant to fritter away some of my fun money on something if it wasn't going to actually look good on me.
Seyrr, you play a cat girl. 99% of the gear designed in this game is designed around cat girls.
Okay, but I want pants sometimes. I want pants most of the time. Like, I'm a cat girl, but I'm not a slut. What? Or I mean, if I am, I'm at least one who dresses chastely.
I think I'm not going to touch that one.
There's only one way my thighs should be getting chafed, is what I'm saying.
PvP?
Exactly. Speaking of which...
That was a terrible segue, but...
Well, we didn't exactly establish what the P stands for here. So anyways, Crystalline Conflict. I think you had some stuff on there you had wanted to mention.
Yes, this is the new PvP small scale mode that is replacing the Feast. All the actions have been revamped, and limit break actions for each job have been introduced, and there's going to be a new reward system. So the Feast is ending in less than 10 hours. You know, rest in pieces.
I won't miss it.
It was fun for a while, but yeah, I prefer the larger scale PvP at this point personally. I never was very keen.
My understanding was that there was a small, very tightly focused, and sometimes extremely toxic community around the Feast.
I would call it more hyper focused.
At least some of the stories suggested that I'd heard suggested some fairly toxic elements. It was enough to make me decide I didn't want to go for it. And I'm guessing that's not a thing you generally want in your game's PvP system, to have people saying, I don't really think I even want to try it.
Well, the thing with PvP is it is not everybody's bag, and I would say that maybe 10% of the player base plays any part of it regularly, whether it's the small scale or the larger scale modes.
There's still some ways to make it more inviting, to where it could be something where it's like, I don't know if I'd necessarily... Like, you want it to be at least something where those people are saying, I don't know if I want to play it, but it at least looks kind of interesting. The type of thing where it's like, I could see myself trying it maybe at some point. Like, that at least seems like the sweet spot you want to be aiming for, where people aren't completely closed off to the idea.
Yeah. One thing to note is, being there are significant reworks to PvP actions, rival wings will be put on hiatus as it gets rebalanced.
Yep, they're redoing the entire thing again.
So we'll still have the larger scale ones like Onsal, whatever the one in the step
Onsal
was.
Hakir, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. And then Shatter, and those will still be available. But
Or Onsal Hakir.
yeah. But Crystalline Conflict is a 5v5 team competition with teams of 5 different jobs, no role restrictions. And there will be casual and ranked, as well as custom modes. Ranked is going to be similar to with the Feast, where you have to earn your rank with each season. You know, the more wins you get, the higher rank you can achieve, and the better rewards you can earn. You know, standard with most PvP games out there.
It seems like a general payload type based one, where you have a crystal that each team is trying to push into a base, and controlling the area around the crystal and keeping your teammates near it allows you to start moving it in the desired direction.
And with this, they will also be utilizing the Adventurer plates, which is another new thing for patch 6.1. So you'll be able to have your own little player card, so to speak.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's one of the ones that feels adjacent to Glamour being the true end game. Having like a cool little business card kind of thing with all stuff about your character. We've seen the custom stuff that people do for forum signatures and the like. I would not be surprised if a non-trivial number of people get into it just for access to that system.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. So I mean, that's something.
I mean, I'm thinking about it.
I mean, the other thing that might be cool about it is the music, because the match music is an arrangement of Final Fantasy IX's Festival of the Hunt, which was some pretty damn good music.
That's a classic piece right there.
And then the overtime music is Run. So they're really jumping on Final Fantasy IX for this, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But where is Blitzball?
Maybe that's going to be the next one.
I hope that actually goes to the Gold Saucer personally, but
that does seem like the type of thing they'd put in the Gold Saucer at some point if they were going to have it. It feels like a very ostentatious, showy.
I could see that being pretty awesome, though. You know, 6v6.
The other, okay, just off the top of my head, David, you're still talking about wanting to explore other shards. If we get something where we're getting very limited travel, maybe like able to project ourselves to another shard or something, you could have a completely different society that just happens to have a Blitzball equivalent.
Maybe one of the shards is named Spira.
I mean, I don't know that they necessarily named the entire shard that. There's room to work with this.
Well, I mean, there were 14 shards. You know, there's, you know, it's an. I mean, I don't know if they've destroyed the 10th shard yet.
Yes, they did. That one I believe got consumed in the Calamity of Water, appropriately enough. I do remember going through that cinematic several times and noting how some of the shards seem to have been destroyed in very elementally appropriate disasters.
Was that one destroyed by water?
Yes, the 10th fell to the Calamity of Water.
So
very appropriate.
So all the Blitzball arenas were destroyed. Damn it.
Oh, they all overpowered and went wild and just flooded everything and reduced it to ether. This is canon.
Sure. And the last little bit that I thought was kind of cool was there's going to be a new art book coming out in September. I love the art books for this game. They're just amazing. So I'm sure pre-orders for that will be going live soon. So look for that. And the bonus item for that is going to be a wind-up Ragnarok. So you can have your own little tiny boat.
Oh, there have been so many Ragnaroks in this game already.
Well, there was the one that held the one that held Bahamut/Dalamud, and then they named, and because of that they named the tiny boat Ragnarok.
Also, there was the two-handed axe that you had to do a whole bunch of stuff for in the Zodiac Arms questline.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then there's the version of the Ragnarok that was the ship on Final Fantasy VIII. There was
There's been a lot of them.
yeah.
I mean, it's a good name, and we've seen this like with the Halicarnassus problem, where you had two monsters named it, and then it just turned out that most monsters get named by the first adventurer who happens to run into them. And so someone who knew that story is like, oh man, it's the demon Halicarnassus from that story, and there we go. Or like the whole thing with Phlegethon, which they still reference the name change in, I believe it's something that Rambros says if you talk to him after Crystal Tower stuff. Really, it's weird that more things don't have the same name. How is it that there are all these NPCs in the world, but there's not like two people with the same name? What the heck?
Oh, Ravenheart says the pre-order is already up, so I'm gonna have to probably get my order in then.
Oh, yep. Well, show's canceled. Get that order in. You got other shit
Good
to
night,
do.
guys. Just kidding. But one thing, so that's basically all I wanted to really discuss with the patch notes, because everything else we've mostly heard about, or we're going to learn more about in the next few days. Or if you are going to read the preliminary patch notes, which is linked to in the chat, a lot of the information is going to be in there as well.
And given that the servers will be going down for maintenance early next morning, probably tomorrow you can read those final patch notes as well if you're a little patient.
Yes. Just a reminder, maintenance starts 3 a.m. PST on Monday, April 11th. It is a 24-hour maintenance. SE is doing
a big patch.
A ton of physical server and infrastructure maintenance during this time, which is why it's been scheduled for a full 24 hours.
I mean, we usually tend to see this when we have like the like 0.1, 0.2, whatever upgrades. Usually they tend to do it as a bigger one. They're changing a lot anyways, and they get in a lot of that other maintenance as well.
They generally go to 12 hours on a lot of the 0.1, 0.2, 0.3s. This one is larger because there's a lot of data center stuff that needs to be done in preparation for data center travel.
Yeah.
But remember, data center travel is not going to be enabled on Tuesday.
They're laying the foundation.
But they're laying the foundation, exactly.
And besides, the new housing district is being done with the lottery, so it's not like you need to be logging in at 3 a.m.
Exactly.
You have been given back your sleep.
Remember,
please use your sleep.
What is it, 5 days to bid on an area you want?
You don't have to be up at 3 a.m. hammering the login button. This is better. You can get your sleep.
Find the one you want in the next few days, if you want to move into wherever you want to go.
There's going to be more lotteries. It's fine.
But also remember, not only will the game be down, but the Lodestone, the companion app, and the game launcher will all be down during this maintenance. So you're not going to be...
Find something else to do for a bit.
Yes. It may be ready a little bit early. So you might be able to get up at like 3, 4 in the morning and download the game in preparation for sign in, but yeah.
Oh, find something else to do for a bit. Make good choices.
Sleep?
Yes.
Well, no,
Good choices.
I will be awake at that time because I will be getting ready for work.
Okay, yeah, but you live in a time zone that's stupid.
Excuse me?
You heard me. Central. Thinking you're all in the center of things. How arrogant is that?
Well, we kind of are.
That's not the point.
But the point is that we're flyover country and we should feel bad about it?
There's actually a really interesting thing about what is the state that's most flown over, and it's not in flyover country, but also that's kind of completely irrelevant, so maybe we should just skip it.
All right. Just a reminder of the additional content that's going to be coming in subsequent patch 6.1x releases. The Ultimate Battle Dragon Song's Reprise is scheduled to be released in patch 6.11. A new custom delivery client, everybody's favorite mommy. The Arcasoja Tribal Quests and the Somehow Further Hildebrand Adventures will be scheduled for patch 6.15. And that anxiously awaited data center travel will be implemented in patch 6.18.
All right, let's get on to what everyone's actually here for.
Well, no,
music.
Hatching Tide.
Oh my god. The dreamers do a thing. Julie has a vision. It turns out that the vision has some type of weird thing set up, and her friend's attempt to fulfill it makes it happen in an unusual and unexpected way. Also, we learn how to suck eggs. Have I covered it?
And a pink bunny.
Okay, we learned how to suck a pink bunny. That part I was not quite sure about, but you're the boss on this.
Oh my.
No, we get a pink bunny minion.
Oh.
And and then we eat eggs. And then we have some other stuff. But that goes for 2 weeks, starting April 13th through the 27th. I actually do like the Hatching Tide story. It's kind of cute.
It's never been a big one for me. Each to our own, I suppose.
I like what is the frickin' Spriggan's name?
Oh, Riggy?
Sure. Is it Riggy, or was it Giggy, or was it
I think it's Riggy.
Though I think the best one was when we had that little
Yep, Egg Hunter Riggy was the little side scroller game that we got
yes,
from that.
That little pixel art game was the best.
It was ridiculous.
It
I
was
will grant
fucking
you that
cute.
was great.
So maybe we'll get something like that coming back. That'd be amazing. But yes, we do have something that people are probably tuning in for some odd reason. I don't know why.
They really like this bit.
Yeah, we are going to continue our exploration of the Final Fantasy original soundtracks. Continue with Final Fantasy X, Disc 2, which starts like this. This is Yuna's theme.
You get this a lot during scenes where Titus and Yuna are having a touching moment, just talking about ordinary everyday things, reminiscing about her experiences. It's got a pleasant, unassuming air to it. Bit of that Suteki Dan Ne melody throughout it. It vaguely reminds me of some of the pieces from FF7 and 8, the ones that would be in more of those kind of far-removed rural villages. Yuna herself coming from Besaid, which is a bit of on the outskirts of society, a little bit of a rural, peaceful village itself. And yeah, she is a simple, in the sense of unpretentious woman. It's got a really nice, inviting feel to it.
I'm just kind of let it play because it's just a nice, relaxing melody.
This is the kind of music that makes you want to spread out a picnic blanket, lay back and just watch the clouds drift by. I actually kind of need this right now. This is nice.
That's why we do these, because they are just whatever it is. There's a Final Fantasy song that will soothe your mood.
Just let it reach down into your hindbrain, flip all the switches that say relax.
Or in Seyrr's case, it tells his brain to shut the fuck up.
I mean, yeah, I would actually consider stopping talking while this one's going. I mean, I haven't yet, but I'm considering it.
No, more the internal Seyrr voice, not the external Seyrr voice.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right, we can go ahead and move on to our next song. This is Movement in Green. This plays on the SS Leaky, as well as on the Josei High Road after completing the trials, and on the path to the Moonflow and Guado Salam. If you listen to the melody, it's Xanarkand.
Oh. So the title Movement in Green is kind of interesting. The literal name translation for the Japanese name is sprouting. So you have kind of this idea of like nature, new growth. Given a lot of the places that it plays, it's places where there's a bit more of like, hey, we're kind of awash in nature. Maybe nature that's like growing over and covering up elements of the old world. You've got like those water voyages on the SS Leaky and the Moonflow, one of which is directly over those ancient ruins, and the other of which certainly has a lot of those elements of, okay, here's these bits of the old world that are kind of reaching out, grabbing in the forms of the sin attacks. But this idea of like taking that Xanarkand thing and having it as kind of reclaimed by nature, that's what I get out of this.
That makes sense. I mean, you know, sprouting, you think spring, you think rebirth.
Yeah. Oh.
It's kind of a more lively version of the Xanarkand theme.
I am loving the concertina here. I think it's a concertina. The kind of accordion-like instrument.
Yeah.
That I think it's a concertina, but I am really loving what it's adding to it here.
You get some really interesting feelings when you throw a non-standard instrument into the mix. I mean, it's not a hurdy-gurdy, but...
Yeah, like, Crystal Chronicles, one of the things that always stuck in my mind was the strangeness of the crumb horn in a lot of the pieces. Like, it really lent this unusual feel to a lot of them. And so same thing where you've got, like, it's some kind of squeeze box instrument. I'm reasonably sure concertina, but I'm not 100%.
I would
Whatever
bet
it
you're
is. Yeah, whatever it is, it's adding that really nice feel to it.
The fact that the composers at Square Enix are not afraid to try different sounding instruments to give that feeling that they're looking for.
Yeah.
And it gives us songs like this. This is The Sending.
We'd heard a version of this at the temples before, but this is the one performed while Yuna is performing the titular sending for the first time. A religious rite that quiets the spirits of the dead and keeps them from turning into fiends. Lots of really mystical elements here, especially drawing from like a lot of that kind of Japanese mysticism.
And just the dance that goes with this. I mean, the first time I saw this, when I played it, this was goddamned amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it brought a tear to my eye as how beautiful this entire scene, how beautiful and how sad.
Yeah. Renders from these scenes were used in a lot of the promotional materials. It was something that was just really evocative, really eye-grabbing. It's something they made a showpiece of it, and story-wise, it was this moment where for Tidus, things become really real, where, hey, we've had this huge mass casualty event, the destruction of Kalika, all of the dead, and then this ceremony sending them off, like this mystical thing as the fireflies come out from them. It's this thing that really, for the in a way that nothing had before, really drives home for him just how foreign the world he is that he finds himself in.
And just the fact that this particular scene stands up so well over 20 years later.
Yeah. In I know in the city and a lot of the other ones, Yuna's finishing moves have her with that pillar of water that she's standing and dancing on, with her gentle twirls, sweeping motions. It's just such an amazing piece. And so, yeah, that kind of subdued. You've got the hymn of the faith, but it's not like a hymn of celebration praise. It's a funerary hymn.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. After performing that sending rites, we move on. In this storyline, we move on into the Kilika Woods. And this is the song that we hear on the overworld, per se.
In as much as there is one.
Yes. This is called Calm Before the Storm. This also, I was going to say, this also plays in the Makalania Woods, Cavern of the Stolen Faith, and Mount Gagazet Cave.
Yeah. There's some, again, slightly like... We saw this in stuff like with the Phantom Forest back in FF6 as well, a lot of other pieces, where there's these elements that give it kind of this mystical, otherworldly feel, in a way of like, okay, you are making your way through a dangerous place. The type of thing was like where the Fae folk live, or similar types of concepts to that. It is a world that you are intruding upon, that you have to pass through to get to where you want to be, but that you should not linger. And we see that in a lot of the environments, the Cavern of the Stolen Faith with its lingering shades, the Makalania Woods with the things like the butterflies, the concentrations of spirit energy, all sorts of other things like that. Lots of those otherworldly elements.
It's just very relaxing.
Yeah.
This is like some good study music, really.
Mm-hmm. Like,
could you imagine a lo-fi version of this?
I was just thinking about that, actually.
Lo-fi's been on my mind a lot lately. It's nice and relaxing.
It's not the type of music that says that you're unwelcome here, but also that it's not that it doesn't want you here. It will happily have you here, but you also can't survive here. But not because the world doesn't want you, just because it's just a little alien to what you are. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but... I would not be setting up a picnic blanket where this music is playing, is my point.
You don't have to go home, but you shouldn't stay here?
Something like that.
All right.
Oh.
We move into a different version of Hymn of the Faith.
We'd mentioned before that a different version of this plays at each location. This one is the Hymn of the Faith that plays at Kilika's temple for the faith of Ifrit.
Correct.
One of the things that I forget where in the story we learned it, but we learned that each of the Aeons comes from a faith, a sort of a statue that preserves kind of the spirit of a person. We get to see them in a ghostly form as Yuna communes with them at various points, but it is a person who kind of is transformed into this Aeon to act as this tool of the faith, to act as this thing that supports the summoners.
Yeah.
So
the summoners are able to draw out the faith in order to actually get enough energy for the faith to come out. There have to be people who basically sacrifice themselves in order to allow this to happen.
Yeah, the strength of their faith, so to speak, is something that powers this ritual, that powers this kind of communing with an almost divine power. And that's why you have that different hymn of the faith, because in each one, it's essentially being sung by the person who gave themselves up to create that faith.
Correct.
In this case, Ifrit, we see a couple times as a man, kind of in the prime of his health, like not young, but like not like an elderly or age type one, like someone who's kind of like in the physical prime, good, strong, clear voice. That's a person who makes the faith for Ifrit.
Yes.
We'll be hearing different versions of it, each reflecting the many different people who comprise the various elements of their faiths.
Moving forward, we make our way to the next big town, Luca.
Now, we actually don't get to hear this music when we first arrive at Luca. We don't get to hear it for a fair bit. Because Luca, when we do arrive there, is caught up in Blitzball fever. We have the big tournament, of course, that Waka has brought us along for after seeing our amazing performance on the shore. But this is the one that we finally hear after the tournament, the attempts by the Albed to seize Yuna. All of that chaos has finally worked itself out. Oh. There's some elements here that vaguely remind me actually of some of the music from the Secret of Mana games.
There's
like
a lot of layers in this game, or in this song.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, a lot of it sounds like it could come out of a Mana game.
You could come out of a Mana game.
Oh, awesome. Luca itself being a city that has managed to maintain a fair bit of vitality in this world desperately struggling to cling on. The Blitzball Stadium and the various other things it has acting as motivation for people to fight especially strongly to protect it. Spirit doesn't have a lot, and but Luca is one of the places that has something that they really want to protect, because it's something that gives their lives a little bit of joy and variety and keeps it from being a constant drumbeat of fear and worry and loss.
And for those who are in the sports world, Luca is where the Blitzball Stadium is.
Yeah.
So it's the center of the Blitzball universe.
Yeah, there's a lot of other fun little things here. I believe the theater where you can rewatch cutscenes, was that in 13.2? Or was that in 10.2 or in 10 as well? I think there was like a Sphere theater where you could rewatch stuff, but
there was one in 10. I think the one in 10.2 was actually on the ship. The Gullwing ship.
But so yeah. Even though game function wise it's for us to rewatch the scenes, it's kind of this theater. So you have is like Luca as this place of like arts, culture, sporting activity. It's kind of this big central city, like it's a big cultural city.
And yes, this is also where the concert at the beginning of Final Fantasy X-2 takes place.
Yep, the sports arena is repurposed to hold a concert. Not the first time that has happened by a long shot.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into the next one. We are introduced to a new character. Or not character, but a new NPC. This is the theme for Grandmaster Mika.
We've got that Hymn of the Faith, but really done up in almost like a fanfare-ish style.
I mean, this is the person who is in charge of Spear's religion. He's their religious leader.
Which, given how important religion is to Spira, effectively makes him the leader for Spira as a whole.
In 10, yes. It's very different in 10-2, but
10.2 has the world coming to grips with a lot of different changes.
We'll talk about that when we get to there. But
for the moment, this guy is the Archbishop, Pope, whatever type thing. He is as close to a president of the world as there is, given how broken this world is.
He's Zap Brannigan? Just kidding.
No.
He wasn't president of Earth. He was just a jackass.
Indeed. Completely unlike Grandmaster Mika, and I'm sure, given that he's a religious leader in a Square Enix game, we're never going to be given any reason to doubt him.
Never. This little tune is called Decision on the Dock. Not only is this the music that plays in the pre-game menu for Blitzball when you're setting up your team, this also plays during highly suspenseful points in the game, as in a very important decision that happens on the dock.
Oh. Yeah, you can feel the tension in it.
Yeah.
A lot of that heavy percussion, that low, or not low, but that low volume strings, like continually throughout, creating that ugh.
Yep, it's definitely a raise the hair on the back of your neck kind of sound.
100%.
Not unlike. This is just a more relaxing, but also kind of builds up a little bit of not tension, but suspense. Maybe you're anticipation. That's the
anticipation is a good word for it. I wouldn't quite go with relaxing. It definitely is something that doesn't have the tension of the previous piece, but it is something that still has a little bit of like a
bit of apprehension, but it's more of a good type, because this is called the Splendid Performance, and it plays when the Aurochs win their semifinal Blitz match, as well as this is the preparation theme in the locker room for Blitzball games.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that music in the background that plays when you're trying to make your when you jump into a new match, and then the previous song plays when you're in the middle of setting up your lineups.
Yeah, like there's a certain amount of like, okay, like it's associated with the, hey, we're just at the start of the sporting event. You could imagine this as the thing that plays over the TV coverage as we gather here on this glorious day for another thrilling round of Blitz.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I could hear this playing. This is the Masters.
Yeah,
this is definitely something you would hear, before golf coverage.
Color commentator talking about the glorious weather.
I'm Jim Nance, and this is golf stuff.
It absolutely has that feel to it.
It does. I mean, I could hear this playing right now during that.
Yeah, which helps. Like, it helps a little bit with the whole getting psyched up. Not like you're going to be, that you're getting psyched up for the Blitzball match. You're going to be doing that, but it's something that's less about, oh no, I'm worried, I hope we win, and more about, hey, we're going to have a fun day of sporting, and I'm going to give it my all here, and I hope I can do well. Sports go sports.
And then
oh, this is absolutely right out of another sports arena show or something like that. Hard-hitting coverage coming at you live from the Luca Blitzball Arena.
This song is called Face Off, and it plays when the party meets the Luca goers at Kilika Temple, as well as right before the game against the goers as well.
The goers are, of course, the favorite to win, hotshot, somewhat arrogant bastards.
Well, it's home field advantage.
Yeah, though certainly at the Kilika Temple, they don't miss their chance to get in a bit of trash talking. Which, given what Kilika has suffered and the somewhat somber air that everyone else has, feels more than a little inappropriate. Really just solidifies the desire to kick their asses. And if you're going to have a sports story, you want to have a good heel.
I mean, these guys have been the perennial favorites as well as one of the best teams out there.
I mean, not unjustified in their confidence, but still kind of dicks about it.
It's kind of how the story goes. And then... Let's blitz, yeah? This is the Blitzball theme, Blitz Off.
Oh, this is bringing back memories of my dorm lounge in college.
We're sitting in our old apartment, and we were just trying to get Waka's ultimate weapon out of this. We would hear this so much.
I am pretty sure at least one person I knew had undiagnosed depression that expressed itself in maxing out the levels of a blitzball team.
And trying to find all the best players throughout the world.
At one point, he released the goalie to get them onto a different team so that the goalie could get experience from having to defend against his players.
Oh, is he talking about the one for the Aurochs? Because if you
Keepa?
because if you level him up, he ends up being the best keeper in the game. But
His name is literally Keepa.
But you have to like get him to like level 90 until he gets good.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're good enough at everything else, your goalie is never getting a chance to do anything. So the best way to give him some training is to get your goalie onto another team so that they can try to block your shots. Oh yeah, we've got.
I didn't go quite that far to get everybody maxed out, but I did try and find some of the best players. I mean, Brother was one of the first ones that I found.
Like I said, the dude had undiagnosed depression. He's doing better now.
That's good. So it's now diagnosed.
Not me. It was undiagnosed at the time. Not me, by the way.
I really want this song, or a revision of this song in Final Fantasy XIV when we play Blitzball.
Or some type of sports event thing. It's another one of those ones that kind of fits into this whole sports music motif we've had going with the last several tracks. But this part here.
Yeah.
Like, especially with some of the bits are kind of like echoing. Especially given that it's supposed to be a thing where they're playing underwater. So the idea of like these sounds echoing in the depths of the water, I feel like it really adds that. Like, that's one of the ones that I feel like makes it a little more Blitzball specific.
It kind of makes it's almost like echolocation pings.
Yeah. So really fitting for these sports players that are going around in the water, like yes, those kind of radar ping element to it. It really adds to the feel of it. It's something that I think really is fitting for a game like Blitzball played in the water.
And this game would fit perfectly into 14 because we already have that the blessing of the Kojin, and we can swim underwater.
I mean, there have to be players besides us.
Why?
Blitzball is not. It's a team sport.
How many people out there have this blessing?
I mean, canonically, not that many. It's something that the Kojin give, and it's not like they're in the habit of giving it to outsiders.
But as far as actual real-world practice, there's a lot of people who played this. So.
Sure, they'd want to have some type of story justification for it, but I see what you're saying there.
Yeah. Moving on. We don't get too many piano themes. But it just seems classic for Auron. And this is Auron's theme.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of old school. Kind of,
Very...
what's the word I'm trying to say here? It's kind of, no frills, but it's very classic. It's no nonsense kind of thing too. It's very straightforward.
It fits a little bit with the Wandering Samurai vibe, which is also a big part of his character archetype. Like, a lot of stuff in Auron's character plays off of tropes of the, like, Wandering Ronin. Hell, he, like, pulls out the traditional jug of sake and uses it on a few of his attacks.
That's freaking amazing. I loved that.
Yep.
The most badass fighter on our team is a drunk. Auron was my favorite in this game, though.
He's a damn fine character.
He's just been through so much shit that, when you first encounter him, he just seems like a cool old guy.
Yep.
And then you learn his backstory, and you're like, holy shit, this guy's been through the ringer.
Yeah. Like, many characters recognize him. He's one of the legendary guardians that protected the previous High Summoner, Summoner Braska. So the fact that there are scenes, for instance, where one of the other summoners on pilgrimage is taunting Yuna and expects her guardian to back her up, but he's too starstruck meeting the legendary guardian and asking for his autograph.
Auron's just a badass.
Yep, like any grizzled veteran of that type, he's got a number of secrets. The fact that we saw him back in Xanarkand way back when, he seems to know a lot about a lot of different things, though he keeps a very tight grip on what information he lets out, implying and hinting that there's more to be known there, but also that this is our story to discover for ourselves.
Yep. But he does.
So he's got a little bit. He's got a little bit of that like mentor aspect to it as well.
Yep. But he does mention Jecht a lot, though.
Yeah, I mean, Jecht was also one of the other guardians on that voyage.
And Jecht was Titus's father.
Yeah.
And Titus doesn't like Jecht because he always thought he was just an asshole.
There's a lot going on there. It's a very messy relationship, and exploring a lot of the parts of that relationship is a major part of Titus's story.
Ooh, my name is Titus and I have daddy issues.
I mean, it's fairly strongly implied that his dad was certain levels of abusive.
Which is why Titus had to go. A lot.
Dude's processing some trauma. Give him a break.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Also, I had to figure out some way to squeeze that in there because basically the beginning of this disc is where that would have happened.
Yeah.
And we kind of have to, because that is like the most quintessential moment in this game, really. It's cringe as fuck. But
it's supposed to be cringe as fuck. He is being intentionally cringe to break the tension with Yuna.
Yes, but I mean it's completely meme worthy and just glorious in that aspect. And
oh, absolutely. It gets more crap than it deserves. It is pretty ridiculous. It is intentionally ridiculous.
It is intentionally.
How about we just go on to the next track?
Take away all my fun. Speaking of different instruments, how often do you hear a mouth harp in a video game soundtrack?
God, I love that boingy sound.
That's what she said.
This is Mi'ihen High Road. Guess where this song gets played?
Could it be Mi'ihen High Road?
Yes, but it first plays when Tita sees the chocobos.
Yeah. Mi'ihen High Road is, of course, traversed a lot by chocobos. So I kind of like the bouncy thing. Is like kind of imagining the up and down bouncing feeling as you're riding along on a chocobo along this road. You've got the landscape passing by as your chocobo trots along.
This part of it reminds me of the fairy themes from 11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do see
nice guitar work there.
You do see some elements of like various ruins and the like, sections of buildings. Again, lots of like little remnants of the world that came before. So there's some amount of like, okay, we are still making our way through the ruins of this thing, but still with that. It's a little
go ahead.
Not mysterious exactly. That's not quite the word I want, though it's adjacent to the word I want.
Enigmatic?
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
Look at me coming up with good words for the librarian.
Oh my god, are you gonna do this every time, you punk?
Yes, I am.
Okay, fair.
I consider myself a wordsmith every once in a while.
Yeah. And yeah, no, that's a good word for it. But so, it is this thing that has this like, just kind of on the road feel to it.
Yeah. But
which the Mihan High Road runs quite a ways. I think a couple of the points that we go to are actually detours off of it.
but the best thing that you get off of the Mihan High Road is you get this. My favorite type of song here. We start every episode with a song like it.
Oh yeah.
This is Final
Build
Fantasy
up.
X's Chocobo theme, Chocobo Jam.
Lots of those big brass instruments.
Yes, this one is very... And then they get the muted trumpet right here.
Hmm.
And it's very jazzy.
Yeah, there's like a jazzy, almost like, not quite big band, but a lot of those elements to it, which is really stands out compared to a lot of the other music we've heard so far. Chocobos are themselves a bit of a luxury. It's something that we actually, Tidus would love to use, but told that, nope, we walk.
Because-
Chocobos ain't cheap.
Yeah, they're expensive unless you're able to get your own. And that you don't get your own for a while.
Yeah. But for the common person, this is like something far out of reach. So like, given everything else we've heard, that whole like big band sound, it makes it a little more exotic, maybe a little bit of that like kind of luxurious aspect to it. It's a very appropriate version for the role that Chocobos play in this setting.
This is one of my favorite revisions of the Chocobo theme.
I'm a fan.
I might be slightly biased, for the fact that I am actually a trumpet player. But just the feeling of this particular one, it's just fun, it's upbeat, it's inviting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Electric Chocobo is my favorite, but this is top 3. And I just love hearing the different versions of the Chocobo theme from each of the games.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go ahead and keep going. This is a nice relaxing theme, as befits its location, the travel agency. Specifically, Reen's travel agency.
Reen is an Albad who makes no attempt to hide it, but despite the role or lack thereof that Albad have in most of civilized society, he gets a pass, possibly because he's rich. Not the first time that story has played out in any of a number of worlds.
But he's also a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
He runs a series of these traveler stops called the travel agency, where you can stop and you can get some basic provisions. You can rest. You can, I believe in many places, you can rent a chocobo.
Yep. The entire thing is a bit of a challenge for Waka, who has drunk deeply of the Church of Yevon's Kool-Aid and has a lot of unpleasant things to say about the Albad. So having to deal with this very nice, very pleasant one, it's difficult for him.
Waka
Waka,
does a
of
lot
course.
of growing in this game, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's spent a lot of his life being insulated in a rural village. What he didn't know of the outside world came filtered through a lot of different things. The experiences with his brother and his brother's fate, the church's teachings. Waka's story involves the story of someone from this kind of rural setting, coming out to see, venturing out into the world and seeing all the different things that makes it up, and having some of those assumptions challenged. Which I think is part of why he ends up being such a hate sink early on, because I mean, like, that kind of character often has a lot of unpleasant, objectionable things to say early on, and it's only once they start getting that exposure to and having those beliefs challenged that they start to grow in that.
All right, let's go ahead and continue our next theme.
Nothing good is happening here.
Not at all. At this point in the game, we are in the roadblocks in the mushroom on Mihan High Road, going towards the Mushroom Rock Road, which has been blocked off because of a bunch of nasty shit that's happening. And at this point,
that's going to be happening. Was it the Crusaders? I forget the exact name of the group, but they're preparing for an operation against Sin.
Yes, it's the Crusaders, because Sin was spotted off of the coast, and they are going to attempt to protect or make Sin go away. But it's at this point that Seymour allows Yuna and her guardians to pass through, hence the name of the tune, They May Pass.
Yeah. We had seen Seymour very briefly with the introduction of Maester Mika as another one of the maesters who steps off
Mika.
Grand Maester Mika as another one of the maesters of Yevon who steps off the boat at that point.
Yep.
But this is where our first actual interactions with him.
And he's creepy AF even here.
It's true.
And it's not because he's half Guado. It's just he's creepy AF. That hair.
I mean, there's a bit going on there that we'll be exploring later on. But yes, he definitely, for people who had remarked on the strangeness of Cloud's hair or other things like that, Seymour puts them absolutely to shame.
It's an absolute mess. What the hell were you guys thinking, SE? It's like,
I think he's supposed to be a bit.
Well, he's got the frickin' Yevon symbol built into his hair.
Yeah. That seems like a perfectly reasonable thing for a religious leader to be doing. Let's go on to the next piece, shall we?
Let's. Speaking
and
of,
hey, it's more of the same.
Yeah, it's actually They May Pass has a lot of similar themes to Seymour's theme. Because Seymour is creepy AF. Like we said, he is basically like second in charge at this point. He is Grandmaster Seymour or Grandmaster Mika's right hand at this point. Accompanies him everywhere. He is also, like I said, half Guado.
It's the type of thing where it's like, I have known you for 5 minutes and the music says you're going to be trouble.
I mean, this part sounds angelic, but this guy gives nothing but, the opposite vibes.
Yeah. There's some bits that are actually just talking about like general, like not even necessarily leitmotif, but just general style. Vaguely makes me think of the world of the Espers music from Final Fantasy VI, where there's like this mystical otherworldly quality to it.
I get that.
Like, Seymour is a person who's off somehow. There's something about him that just doesn't line up with the rest of the world.
Well, there's something very different with Guado.
Yeah.
Overall, I mean, they are a very different. They're a different race of denizens of Spira, which we'll get into in a little bit when we actually make our way to Guado Salam.
Mm-hmm.
But
Seymour himself is half Guado, half human.
Mm-hmm. I believe his mother was Guado. Or was it?
I think so.
I don't remember. I'm terrible at that part.
Actually, I think his mother was human.
Okay.
Let me verify that. Oh, yeah, she's human.
Okay, so it's the other way around. So his father was Guado, his mother was human, and he ends up becoming, like I said, deeply entrenched in the Church of Yu Yevon.
Yeah, we don't find out a lot of these details until later, but we do learn that Seymour's mother had married the leader of the Guado and given birth to a son, and the hope was that as this half-human, half-Guado, he would act as like a bridge between the races.
Because there's a little bit of tension between the two.
Yeah, he ended up just being shunned and mocked by the both of them.
Well, with that hair, can you blame him?
Come
on. Anyway.
But yeah, he's definitely, like, from the moment you meet him, you know that something's not right.
Our next theme here is kind of a used for in flashbacks.
Yeah, we see it at a lot of stuff relating to sin. In this particular case, the first point we hear it is after, I believe it was Operation Mihen, but because Mihen was a high summoner who had defeated Sin, that is the name for the Crusaders' attempt to defeat Sin themselves without needing to use summoners, aided by Albed Machina. The operation is a complete failure with massive casualties.
And I believe at this point, doesn't Titus get a flashback of to like with his mom?
Yeah, like there had still been in Titus's mind some amount of doubt as to whether Oron was telling the truth and as to whether Sin was his father Jekt. But in the brief contact that he has during the attack at Operation Mihen, he does get these flashbacks, feels this moment of connection that confirms to him, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that yes, Sin is Jekt. Really rough sequence. There's an entire thing involving a brash young soldier and a more grizzled veteran, where you can make like there's a little storyline playing out through them during the entire lead up to Operation Mihen, where the brash young soldier is clearly spoiling for a fight and getting ready to go all in on this glorious mission. And depending on the dialogue choices you make, you can save him from that fate, in which case his commander is the one who dies in his stead. Like, we'd already seen the mass devastation at Kalika, but this is one that ends up being a little more up close and personal, with soldiers that we had spoken to and in some cases maybe even bonded a little bit just immediately beforehand, being wiped out in a single brutal attack.
This was not my intention.
Yet another chance to emphasize just how powerful Sin is. The fact that, no, the summoners are really the only option. There's also one that gets there's a lot of emotional content for it, because you have different party members with different sets of feelings about the importance of summoning, about the religious teachings on Machina, a lot of them with elements that we are not privy to at this point in time as to why they feel that way. But we have this brutal tragedy and a lot of people reacting to it in a lot of different ways for reasons that we can't even begin to grasp at this point.
And it's very tense.
Yeah. A little bit of that kind of despair in it as well. A lot of the points where we get this music, it is the flashback element, but it's tinged with that bit of despair and sadness and of hopelessness.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next. This is another temple theme, this time for the Jose Temple. So there's a bit of tension that builds.
And release. The Jose Temple is home to the Aeon Ixion, the Thunder Pony, and lots of strong associations with the element of lightning in this case. So having that building tension to that sudden plucked release kind of fits with that tension of a thunderstorm followed by the lightning bolt finally coming crashing down.
Thunderbolt and lightning. Very, very frightening.
Especially once Riku's in the party. That'll be a bit later on, mind you.
She just blows shit up. What are you talking about?
Oh, you might not remember, she is afraid of lightning.
Oh yeah, that's right. But she does like to blow shit up.
Sure.
Mixing different types of grenades, which is always fun.
Oh, yeah, this is a bit of an unexpected tune for a temple, which up to this point have been like kind of that more traditional religious feel to them. But again, this is a bit of an unusual temple itself. It's also coming immediately after the entire disaster that was Operation Mihen, so
Yes.
there's still a bit of lingering tension in the air over everything that's happened.
And after we get to the temple, the next place we go to is the Chamber of Faith for Ixion. So this is Ixion's Hymn of the Faith.
So, different singer.
Each one of these brings its own set of feels of, you know, what they're trying to convey. And it's pretty well done.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. I'm glad that they took this same theme, put it through multiple voices to bring out different effects.
Yeah.
Very smart.
The hymn of the faith is one that we'll be revisiting many times throughout the game. So having both the individually sung ones as well as the choral arrangements, weaving that into the importance that each version has to the story and the elements it's showing up in, and again using those individual Chamber of the Faith versions to kind of, in a tiny way, showcase the individuality of the people and who they were before they became the faith. It's a really lovely touch.
Speaking of lovely touches, oh boy.
What's up, homies?
We are being attacked.
You're being attacked by a wild barbalist that has not been on the show for 4 months.
A sir not
These
appearing
things
in
happen.
this podcast.
They're not appearing in this podcast. Welcome, listeners. I'm at work. I just wanted to drop in and say hi. I hope everybody's doing good.
You arrived just in time for us to ride the shoe.
Ride the shoe puff?
No, I'm not rising the shoe. I have customers. I have to go. Anyway, stay awesome, guys. Take care of yourselves. It's good to see you both.
Take care,
Woo!
Dallas.
We will catch you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.
All right, that was an entertaining interlude.
So is Ride the Shoe Puff. That is very entertaining too.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it so much fun to ride the shoe puff? It's just fun to say that too.
Mm-hmm. The titular line comes from the Hypello, yet another race of people that we find exploring Spira, who they're kind of like a they're not
Lizard,
exactly like,
froggy type.
I mean, they're amphibians of some sort. They have a bit of that weird accent. They do lots of like sounds for kind of a lisping thing. So saying instead of ride the shoe puff, it's ride the shoe puff. I was gonna say there's actually, mentally, I have a vague comparison to like the Gungans from Star Wars.
Minus the ears.
Yeah. But good swimmers, a little bit of like a kind of lackadaisical, relaxed attitude to things. You get the impression that there's not a lot going on upstairs.
They're a little bit vapid, but they're also very entertaining. They're very caring people.
Mm-hmm.
We get a little bit more out of them in 10-2.
Yeah, 10-2 really gives them a chance to shine. Here we mostly see them as operating the service that lets you go across the moon flow.
Yes. Riding on the Shoe Puff.
Shoe Puff being a fairly large, kind of like elephant-like creature that they place a basket on its back and you ride in that. And then the Shoe Puff just wades and swims across the moon flow.
And it's just kind of a nice, relaxing, entertaining, just enjoyable moment. It's something, it's a moment of relaxation and happiness at this point.
Yeah.
So it's
a kind of there's a little bit of like kind of taking stock of where we've been, especially because we've just finished with Jose Temple. There's still a little just like leftover processing of what all happened with Operation Mihan.
So who doesn't want to ride the Shoe Puff after you've been through all that?
The line is just so great. It is absolutely one of the ones that sticks in your head. The Shoe Puff in question has a scar on its leg, which later on we find out was actually put there by Jecht about 10 years prior during Braska's pilgrimage, where they arrived there, Jecht having never seen one before, and, as usual, being drunk off his rocker, assumed it was a monster and attacked it.
Until Braska and Oron had to knock him, or basically stop him from
they had to restrain him. The experience was such an embarrassment that Jecht apparently spent the remainder of his travel money paying for the damage and swore off alcohol from that point forward.
Speaking of other entertaining characters, we get another theme for another one of our characters joining us. Somebody we've met earlier in the game.
Is this actually the last character who joins us?
Riku? Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, we met her way back at the beginning, but this is the point where she joins us on a more permanent basis. Her character will certainly develop a bit in 10-2, but right now she's kind of got like that gentle, innocent, almost girl next door vibe about it, which you really hear reflected in the music. She's a clever machinist who can disassemble robots in mid-battle, but she's also like relatively like she's sweet and innocent. She wants to protect her cousin Uni. She sees things in very clear black and white. This is a thing that is good. This is a thing that is bad. She's still young. She doesn't have a lot of that more nuanced, jaded view that a lot of the adults in the party have.
And she also has to overcome a lot of negative connotation from everybody's favorite blitzballer, Huaka, because she is Albed. I think it's at this point where we learn, that Yuna is half Albed.
Exactly.
And Waka's like, what? This is a growing moment for Waka. When Yuna comes in the party, or when Riku comes in the party, reveals the fact that Yuna is half Albed, her mother was Albed, and then yeah,
because like literally, Riku is Yuna's cousin. Like that wasn't just an expression there, the direct relation there.
Yep, it is cousin Uni.
So Waka at first, of course, was skeptical of Riku, but once he finds out that Yuna is as well, he does seem shocked and troubled by the whole thing, and that's really one of the points where he really seems to start reconsidering his previous stance. This combined with a lot of other things that we've seen already, like Waka has been set a little bit adrift in terms of the rocks that he built his worldview upon turning out to be made of crumbling sand.
Well,
But for the moment, we've got Riku.
And Riku's a lot of fun in the party. You gotta admit that.
Mm-hmm. Now, technically, we meet her at this point after we have crossed the Moonflow, been attacked again by an Albed Machina, which attempts to kidnap Yuna. And so we descend down into the water to beat it up. And it's on the far edge of the Moonflow that we find a washed-up Riku, rather grumpy about the fact that we didn't have to hit her as hard as we did.
Well, she's just trying to protect her cousin.
Yeah. Everyone else is talking about the importance of the pilgrimage, about all the stuff that Yuna wants to do. Yuna herself seems devoted to it, but Riku is dead set against letting Yuna continue this pilgrimage.
And there's reason behind that, which we'll get into probably in the next episode.
Yep. Reason that pretty much everyone except Titus knows. But also the stuff going on there means that it's not something that anyone ever really talks about. And Titus doesn't know that he's missing this information and so doesn't even know to ask.
Exactly.
He just knows that, okay, Riku's part of the Albed. The Albed are like not in good with the Church of Yevon, so okay, she doesn't want her to go on the pilgrimage. This just seems like the garden variety opposition based on this religious prejudice and all that.
Also, he's trying to wrap his head around the fact that his old man is Sin.
Yeah, dude's got a lot to deal with himself. It's understandable and forgivable that he maybe doesn't have a complete grasp on everything that's happening with the other people when he's still sorting out his own life.
Yep. And the final track on disc 2 brings us to Guado Salam. It's a very mystical sound because Guado Salam is home to the entrance to the far plane.
Yep.
A very mystical area.
The Guado are the keepers of the literal door to the afterlife.
When Yuna sent the people from the massacre at Kilika performed Descending, she sent them to the far plane. This is where people go after they die if they are not turned into fiends.
Yeah, we've seen elements of this in FF7, FF14 as well. The idea of like kind of a great collective life stream that life forms come from and return to eventually.
But what's different about this version of it is the fact that people maintain their sentience.
Sort of. There's actually it comes up a bit in discussion. This question of if you go to this entrance to the far plane, you can, in a way, meet with those who have passed on. Riku, of course, is all skepticism, and she's the party's atheist about it, pointing out that according to the Albed's understanding of it, that this is just the pyre flies sort of reflecting what's in the minds of the people who come to visit. That it's not actually the person, it's just the pyre flies responding to the visitors. There's, of course, a lot of disagreement and a lot of uncertainty about it, but whatever the truth of it is, the fact remains that the Guado are seen as, again, the keepers of this literal door to the afterworld, and so have this really mystical role about them, and this really important role in the religion of Yevon. It also kind of leaves them a little bit removed from the everyday world and its problems and concerns. A lot of the instances where we do run into Guado, they seem unconcerned with the petty day-to-day trifles that others have to deal with.
With the exception of their blitzball team.
Yeah. And even then, it's... Yeah.
They're just there to play baseball.
They are viewed as this kind of like mystical one, but in this way that leaves them kind of removed from society at large, makes it a little difficult to interact. Thus, the whole reason for trying to bridge that gap that ended up falling flat on its face. Poor Seymour.
If he only had a better hairdresser.
That's a lot of pressure to put on a kid.
What, have nice hair?
Exactly. How much agency do you think they have in it?
Anyway, that's disc 2.
Yes, at this point, I don't believe disc 2 ends with us arriving at Guado Salam. We will, of course, be meeting with Seymour later. The visit to the far plane is coming up. Lots of other interesting tidbits and revelations, but those will be something for another time.
Yeah, 2 weeks from now.
Something like that.
Provided everything goes well.
Good Lord willing and the creek don't rise.
Oh, I'm glad we're back to these. These are so much fun.
Oh, I've said it before, but I really just enjoy the opportunity to reflect on these ones I played before, especially since a lot of these musical themes are ones that we do encounter again and again in FF14, in a lot of other games. So getting that chance to remember and explore what they mean to us is really fun, and I feel like it kind of primes us for enjoying them in a new and different way when we do encounter them again elsewhere.
Absolutely. All right, well, that is going to go ahead and do it for tonight's episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, please make sure to like, subscribe, or follow us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or whatever your preferred podcatcher is. And if possible, leave us a rating or review. It lets us know how we're doing, and it helps other people find our show. If you really dig the show, you can consider subscribing to us here at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio, where you get access to a number of subscriber-only emotes and badges. Or, like we talked about earlier, you can support us out on Patreon, like our benevolent overlord Aurora Fenrir, or our shadowy foreign investor Tibian Salts, by visiting patreon.com/PhoenixDownRadio. Like I said, all our patrons will get early access or immediate access to all of our podcasts. So as a nice benefit to supporting us in that way. And all proceeds go towards growing the show, cover hosting costs, allow us to improve and upgrade equipment, as well as do some fun things like the contests and giveaways we've had in the past. We need to come up with another one of those eventually here too. So we'll figure something out. I feel like
6.1 is going to give us some fertile ground for it. Maybe something related to Tataru's grand endeavor.
Or Thal's balls.
Oh god, it's like truck nuts, but for your Naldthal statue.
Yes. Or something like that.
I hate that I said that sentence.
You can hang it off the regalia. You can hang your Thal's balls off of the regalia.
Oh no.
But any kind of support, whether it's emails, likes, tweets, or retweets, follows, subs, or donations, they're greatly appreciated. We just love interacting with you guys and the rest of the community. If you want to listen to our backlog of podcasts, you can go to our website, PhoenixStarRadio.com. If you have questions, comments, or just suggestions, or you want to say hi, you can email us, podcast@PhoenixStarRadio.com. Hit us up on Twitter @PHXDNRadio. And also make sure that if you're listening to us on the podcast, on the audio feed, join us sometime live at twitch.tv/PhoenixStarRadio. We do this every other Saturday night, or normally, tonight's Sunday, of course, but join us every other Saturday night when we do this and have a good time. So, yeah. Shout outs.
I'll go ahead and give a shout out to my friend Sophia, who I met several years ago in FF14 because we were both doing big fishing, and so commiserated over catch rates, over failed attempts to get a mooch, all sorts of other things like that, and who lately has been organizing an anime watching group that has gotten us through a whole bunch of different series and introduced me to a bunch of things I never even knew about. So big shout out to you, Sophia. Love the work that you're doing. Never expected that griping about not being able to catch Sarabane would turn out this way. Very pleasantly surprised. You're awesome. You can find me on Twitter at FF14Seyrr. That's FFXIV SEYRR. Also on our Discord. Love to hear your comments, chat with you, pass the time during a difficult library shift. all that good stuff.
Excellent. So you should save up and next year come out to Minnesota for Anime Detour. I think that would be an amazing time.
But you guys have seasons there. That might kill me.
Or it might awaken your senses.
Oh, I mean, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but whatever does kill you makes you dead.
Well, just don't die.
Oh, it's that easy. I wish I thought of it.
Yeah, so just so you know, it's going to be April 7th through the 9th next year. Put that in your calendar, see if you can make something work on that. Because I think it would be cool. We could do a live show. Like,
that could actually be pretty entertaining.
That would be fucking amazing is what it would be.
I am not attempting to bring a microphone cross-country.
You don't need to. I have microphones.
Okay. Just making that clear. We can work out the details.
You remember, I did purchase an entire setup ready to go so I can take the show on the road.
I did not remember that, but neat.
I had this all set up for the next time we meet at FanFest.
Oh, one of these days.
But, you know.
Anyways, you have shout-outs you want to give? He said, trying to keep things vaguely on track.
Shout out to Modest Brewing Company for this amazing sick mix beer that I had throughout the show today. It's a very tasty fruited Berliner Weiss, and it was delicious, and it's got me slightly drunk. Well, I mean, when you've got a 24-ounce can, that'll do that, you know.
Oh, that's why I'm having to keep things on track.
Yeah, because I'm a little bit loopy, but no, it's a very tasty beer. Shout out to them. I stopped there this weekend while I was staying in the cities and just had a really good time. You know, I stopped at Fulton Brewery, I stopped at Modest Brewing, just enjoyed some tasty beer. So it was a good time.
Shout out to the people who keep us not having to think too hard.
Exactly, or keep us drunk.
Same difference.
Shout out to Talaz, who stopped in for a few moments. I appreciate that. It was nice to hear his voice again. We tried to get him on the show tonight, but like he said, he had to work as an emergency thing because the person who was supposed to take this shift ended up getting COVID. So I hope that person is doing better.
Oh, people, stop breaking yourselves.
Yes.
I mean, I know most people don't choose to get COVID. I hope no one chooses to get COVID.
Yes. Hope they get better, and I wish you a speedy recovery, because we would like to have a Talaz on the next episode, because I think he would want to comment on some Final Fantasy X as well.
Always nice to get that third person in there.
Yep. Shout out to Seyrr for still putting up with my shit, even though I've been drinking.
You put up with my shit. It's the least I can do.
No, the least you could do is nothing, but...
Okay, it's the second least I could do.
No, the second least you could do is ignore me.
What's the difference between that and nothing?
You're actively doing it.
Oh, okay. Anyways, other shout-outs you want to give?
That's about all I got right now, actually. It's like I said, just wanted to, say thank you to everybody who's joining us live here at twitch.tv/FFXIV Radio. Everybody listening out on the podcast, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for continuing to support us and let us do this thing that we've been enjoying for the past... God, how long has it been now?
A number that is big.
A number that is, we're on, this is 6.5 years.
Something like that.
6.5 years.
The game had its 7-year anniversary, didn't it? Or was it coming up on 8? I'm not sure.
The game is actually past 10 years.
Is that right?
The game is going to be 12 years old.
Is that including A Realm Reborn, though?
No, it's
is that including
1.0.
1.0? I mean... I'm just figuring because we started sometime in Heaven's Word.
We started in 2015.
This is not interesting content.
No, but thank you for letting us continue to do this and talk about the things that we enjoy with Final Fantasy, whether it's Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 10, or whatever version of the game is out there now. So thank you for joining us and letting us continue to ramble on about this game series that means so much to all of us. If you want to check out some of my odd ramblings, I'm going to be posting some stuff out on PHXDN_KLAUSS out on Twitter. I'm going to I've been really bad about putting stuff out there because it's like, is it really interesting? But I've been taking some pictures of, you know, the trips and stuff that I've been doing over the last few weeks. Maybe I'll put some of that out there if you're interested in seeing it, or maybe put it on the Discord more likely. So make sure to join us on our Discord server. You can find links to that on our webpage, as well as if I can just click on the link in there for those of you watching the show. So yeah, for my co-host Seyrr Timono, for this weird guy who popped in randomly, Tal is marvelous. I'm Klauss Nightbringer, wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will catch you on the next episode. Take care.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is the copyright of Square Enix. Opening music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out their full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.